Today, the Valley's tech workforce is about 90% white and Asian, only 2% black, and fewer than 1 in 3 tech employees are women.
The culture of Silicon Valley has been, from the beginning, not just white, but also very male.
It's just an industry that's still got a dearth of women in it, and yet it believes it's a meritocracy. That's not a good combination.
If you're not doing something hard, you're wasting your time.
In 1986, Heidi Roizen, CEO of the software company Teamaker and one of the few women CEOs in Silicon Valley, applies for a $1 million bank loan.
The bank invited me to a dinner of other people like me, other CEOs of technology companies who were applying for debt from this particular bank. And they had this dinner for 10 or 12 of us. And I walked in, and first of all, it was a scotch tasting. I can't stand scotch. Everyone was talking about their golf games. I don't play golf. I was the only woman in the room. I was sitting there, I was thinking, how do I make conversation? How do I get in the game here? It was one of those moments where I just thought to myself, I'm not gonna be getting a loan from this bank. And in fact, I didn't get a loan from that bank.
Roizen is far from the only woman who's felt unwelcome in the Valley.
This place is not for everyone. There's a lot of testosterone. There's a lot of competition.
Companies often demand long hours that can be almost impossible for women with children.
You look at a place like Google, which builds in cafeterias, sushi bars, get your dry cleaning done. Everything is organized to make sure that you spend as much time as possible inside the company.
So today, the Valley's high-tech workforce is overwhelmingly male. And yet, women have been essential to the Valley's history.
In the origins of Silicon Valley, women were the assembly workers. They were the production workers. The stereotypes all are that women have small hands. Women can do this very close work that was involved with electronics assembly.
During World War II, some of the first programmers are women.
They were actually called computers because they were computing ballistics trajectories using differential math, and these were math majors. These were the women I look up to who were pioneering and breaking ground and solving really complex problems, not getting a lot of credit for it, but who really established the foundations of computing in some important ways.
But during the decades after the war, women lose their foothold in computing.
Part of the culture of hackers and coders is something that comes out of an era, the 1950s and 1960s, when you end up with a face of the Valley that is overwhelmingly male. And that culture has kind of gotten baked in to the whole system.
But some women find ways to break down barriers.
I was a girl geek. I always knew that I wanted to have a career in the sciences. I majored in biophysics at UC Berkeley, and then I fell in love with software.
In 1989, Kim Polese joins one of the Valley's top computer companies, Sun Microsystems.
Occasionally look around the room, realize you're the only woman, but it's kind of like, well, so what? Now let's get back to business.
She's part of the team that develops Java, the programming language that brings motion to the World Wide Web. In 1996, Polese co-founds a business software company, Marimba, and becomes its CEO.
As one of the few women CEOs, I got a lot of attention, and some of it was kind of strange. I would be giving a speech about the future of the internet or what Java was, and it would end up being this fluffy piece about, what I was wearing. It was frustrating at times, but I did my best really to ignore the silly stuff.
Led by Polese, Marimba thrives. When it's sold, it fetches a price of $239 million.
There's one thing that I think has been a theme throughout my career, it's persistence. And anyone that I've seen who's been successful here in the Valley, it's never giving up.
Heidi Roizen's ambition to run a tech company has its roots in her Valley childhood.
For me, this is my hometown. My father came here to work for Ampex in the 50s and worked on the early video tape recorders. My father was not so much encouraging me to be an engineer as he was encouraging me to be an entrepreneur.
Like so many people in the Valley's history, Roizen attends Stanford and goes on to its business school. In 1983, she and her brother Peter, a software engineer, start their company, T-Maker.
I was going to be, I suppose, the VP of marketing and the VP of, I don't know, operation. I was supposed to be the VP of everything my brother didn't want to do. And he was going to be the guy who wrote the software.
Roizen receives some life-changing advice from a former coworker at Tandem Computers.
There was a woman that I had worked with at Tandem, a woman named Pat Becker, who was the head of corporate communications. And I had to let Tandem know that I would not be coming back after business school. I was going to be starting a company. And she said, oh, what role are you going to have? And I said, I'm going to be VP of everything my brother doesn't want to do. And she said, nope, you should be the CEO. And I said, why would I be the CEO? My brother actually started writing this software, you know, a year before I became involved even. Why would we start a company and have me be the CEO? And she said, well, there's two reasons. One is you're going to be doing all the sales. And when you're selling, the buyer wants to speak to the highest titled person in the company. You're going to be a more effective salesperson if you're the CEO. But the other reason is you don't have any money to market your company. And to be a woman CEO of a tech company in Silicon Valley is going to garner you a lot of attention that you don't have to pay for. And I thought, damn, she's right. And that's how I became the CEO. We were running for a number of years before we decided that we were missing the opportunity to put the company on a faster growth trajectory.
Roizen needs money and seeks advice from a friend, Ann Winblad, a former software CEO who started her own venture capital fund.
She had a very efficient business model. Even though she was selling software at low prices, it was a very high gross margin. She knew how to build a profit.
So she was helping me with my pitch.
Roizen receives an offer, or term sheet, from another VC.
And at that point, Ann said to me, I don't want you to take their term sheet. I want you to take my term sheet. And then she gave me a term sheet at a lower valuation. And I said, well, what the hell is this? And she said, well, you know I'm better than that other firm for you, and I'm going to be a better partner to you. And I knew she was going to be an amazing partner.
In the end, it was acquired for a nice sum of money, so it had a great outcome for the entrepreneur, Heidi and her team, as well as for us, the investor.
But the successes of some Valley women have not eliminated the prevailing bias.
Another high-profile Silicon Valley company is being sued on sex discrimination claims.
But discrimination and diversity has been a recurring issue across Silicon Valley.
I'm perplexed by the fact that we're still dealing with this problem. Back then, in 1996, when we co-founded Marimba and I was getting some of this strange reaction, I thought, well, this will all be gone. In 10 years, there will be so many more women founding and building companies. This is just a blip in time. Unfortunately, 20 years later now, things have changed for the better, but they certainly are not where they need to be.